off, man, thank you so much for joining us. This is an interview that I've been waiting to do. I'm a huge fan of your work and everything you got going on in Vegas, man. So just want to tell you, just keep up all the amazing work and that smile, dude. That smile you got, it's contagious. Uh, it's awesome, man. So just keep doing what
Thank
you're doing.
you. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you.
So, with that, just go ahead and introduce yourself. Just give us a little rundown. Where you're at, and just introduce yourself for us.
Okay, awesome. So I'm Ruben Martinez. I'm out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, right now, currently, and I am a creative. I pretty much do many things behind the chair for hair, which is how I got into photography. But I do a lot of landscape, headshots. Which give me anything and I'll shoot it. And so yeah, I'm kind of all over the place creatively, but I love people. I love human connection, and I don't know, man. I love the journey of creativity.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. Well, you definitely it speaks through your work for sure. Um,
Thank
you- how did you first discover light painting, and how long have you been light painting?
Okay, so I'm a talker, so I'm gonna give you
I'll
the
just
whole
give it to
story,
us.
okay? But I'm gonna try to keep it short. So basically, in 2018, I went on a self-discovery trip, and up until that point, I had only been in photography like 3 years, and it was to shoot my hair work to help me promote my hair business, what I do behind the chair for the salon, and pump that out for social media. I went through a crazy wonky time, and I thought, you know what? I want to just disconnect from life for a while, and I'm going to go chase waterfalls for 2 months. And so I packed up my camera, and I just hit the trails. And I learned long exposure photography with the element of water. And it was on this trip where I chased waterfalls, man, where I just fell in love with like the smoothness and the milkiness of like the water and how it just was awesome. But I was in manual mode. I didn't know nothing about bulb mode. And I was just so excited to do like long exposures for 2 to maybe even 5 second shots. And this right here, I don't know if you can see this,
Oh yeah.
but this is Canaryville Falls. And that was my very first waterfall hike and my very first waterfall shot with a long exposure. And that is what led me down this creative rabbit hole
Oh man.
of just everything long exposure, man. Yeah.
So being with that being said, and having the experience that you've had, what is light painting, if I ask you? If I
So, okay, so if you
Yeah.
ask me personally,
Okay.
it's Ruben being able to chase his imagination.
I love it.
Straight up, like me, what do you do when I'm chasing my imagination, guys? And that's what you're doing, man. You have these ideas, and you're trying to, and once again, like me having a hard time logging in, like
Right.
technology, like dude, it's so tough. And so the fact that with light painting, like no Photoshop, none of that stuff, dude, I'm in. So I really like the fact that I get to try to think of ideas and how can I make these practical thoughts? What can I do to make this come alive? And
Right.
how can I capture this all in one shot? And so to me, it's just I get to chase my imagination. Now, when people ask me this, like, no, but what is it? How are you doing it? So then I go technical and I go, well, it's basically, capturing the movement of light in a single long exposure. And
Right.
so it's why is it technology wise, but for me, I get to play with my mind. And I get to just
I love
chase
it,
my
man.
imagination, man, and just yeah, it's super fun.
You
Super
know,
fun.
that's awesome, man. That's so good, so good. I asked you, what is your favorite image using light painting brushes? And
Yeah.
you sent me this one. So let me screen share real quick and we'll pull that up. So you sent me this.
Yeah.
Just what's going on here? The first time that I saw this, it reminded me of something you would see like looking through Hubble, just like some nebulas and stuff like that. So what
Okay. So I'm gonna go deep, okay, you guys?
okay, yeah, go do it.
So I after shooting waterfalls, I fell in love with long exposure. I got home and had a few prints. I just moved into a new apartment, and I wanted to put these prints up, and so I put them up. I printed on poster metallic paper, and I really fell in love with the vibe of the naturesque feel that was in my living space. But I was like, no, I want some art though, but I want to see what I can do now with with light painting. I had heard of light painting. I didn't know exactly what it was. I just know it was like, capturing the movement of light with a long exposure. So I did some research on it. And after like getting a few tools from light painting brushes, which I love, I picked up the fiber optic brushes, the white and black, and I got an RGB flashlight, put it in, and I literally just started spazzing out and losing myself with movement, with music in the dark. And it's crazy because that self discovery trip, it really helped me internally with clarity, where I was at the time in my life, and just helped me get connected to not only me but my creator, and just purpose, walk. And so as I started diving in and just exploring what I can create, because the idea was to create abstract art for my living space. It was all about my living space. I just wanted to create something that was vibrant, something that was abstract, but I didn't want it to look like I drew it. So I wanted it to be like an explosion of color. And when I started spazzing out, I realized the more that I try to be like intentional with my movements, it looked more like drawing, which is awesome. It's cool, but it's not what I was really targeting. I wanted to be like an explosion of colors. And so what I did was I took the white fiber optic brush and I had my RGB flashlight, and this was a 5 second exposure. No, no, no. I'm sorry. This was a 9 second exposure. And so I had basically did X's and I used my torso as a guide. Because when I first started doing everything, I was kind of all over my living room. And I realized, like, okay, no, but I don't want to have to go in and try to crop things accordingly or pick my favorite species or like spaces and pieces of it. So I wanted to see if I can like target my black canvas. And I figured, okay, my stomach's pretty big. Let me just kind of stay within like my body and my torso. And so I just created a bunch of X's as I'm churning the RGB light, red, blue, green, white, red, blue, green, white, and just kept going. And I did a bunch of X's really fast and spazzing, and it wasn't like pretty. It's not like you're dancing elegantly or moving. It's like you're spazzing, man. You're like, and just going at it. And I turned off the light, took off the fiber optic brush, and I used my torso to just half click the flashlight at the camera. And those are the starbursts. So I'm
Awesome.
just like, but I'm also not going just against my torso. I'm kind of going away from it. And so that kind of gave me a little bit of depth, but I still wanted to stay in between like my frame that I kind of had in mind. Now, I don't know if you can do this on there, Jason, but it was crazy because so after all this, this came to life, I seen this and I thought, holy smokes, man, this is what I know I'm made of. I feel like we all have and we all are a part of this energy, right? And we all have light exploding in us, out of us. And I feel like there's times the world can kind of dim our light or we allow it to let it dim. But going back to light painting, I love how it just really had me connected to more of my purpose in life, my walk, on what I try to be daily is just energy, light. And so I felt like I was able to capture what I've always felt I had inside of me. And so this is part of a collection, the first collection that I created, which I labeled as my creative origin. When it comes to light painting, it's my creative origin collection because this is how it all started for me. So this was actually my seventh capture um, from that collection, and I showed this. So okay, so doing hair in the salon, I started printing on these. I started printing them out, and when I went to the print shop, I was like, okay, I don't want to lose luminosity. I don't want to lose vibrancy, and I don't want it to go flat. So then they started showing me options, and that's when I discovered aluminum,
Right.
Chromolux. You guys ever? Oh my gosh!
Oh, yeah,
If you
yeah.
ever get into printing, print on Chromolux white gloss. Oh my god! And there's different effects as well, which can be cool. But I feel like I'm looking at my screen when I see prints on aluminum. And so I got some little 8x12s printed of the creative origin. I had no idea what I was going to do with it except put it in my living room. But I took them to the salon one day and I was like, hey, look what I created to some of my clients. And they were like, dude, what is this? And I'm like, it's me. I'm just chasing my imagination. And so one of them showed me that with this particular piece, when you go horizontal a particular way, it
Right.
can abstractly spells out love. That's it. That's it. I don't know if you see it. I mean, I kind of crossed my eyes and
Right.
I see
Yeah. Yeah.
it,
Yeah. Okay.
but it's just like, holy smokes, man. I was like, dude, but that's what I love. It's whatever you're creating,
Right.
whatever you're diving into, like it could be with intention, and what comes out of it will most of the time like exceed what you're going for. But also, you don't know what people will see. Like
Right.
I've had so many different guests who visit the gallery or visit like my page or however we connect and we talk about light art. They'll tell me that like, dude, like I see this or do you see that? Were you intending to create that? I'm like, dude, let it take you where it takes you because that's what this is. It's
Right.
like, I'm chasing my imagination, but chase yours within what you see, and it's just, it's beautiful, but it's another form of connecting with people on such a pure form with
Right.
no, like, it's just, it's, you're celebrating creation, and it's just, it's awesome.
It's beautiful, man. That's awesome. And to hit on a couple things you talked about, I can relate, especially with my photography and I dabble in all kinds of genres. But there's this connection. So, that connection is so important and it leads into this next question, it's something that I admire about your work is the emotion that you capture. It's something I always hope to convey through my own work. Could you explain the connections between, who you're light painting and those emotions and how they're coming to life with your work? And I can show you, we can look through some examples here, but I just feel
Yeah.
that you have a way of connecting with the person that you're light painting with, and it conveys from the light painting. So
Awesome, man. Well, it starts with, it was all by accident once again because it's all of this that started coming to life. um, I just felt so connected energetically, and so a friend of mine was like, "Hey, can we shoot?" And I had done some modeling stuff with her before. Being behind the chair, it's opened up my world to have access to different types of beings who are open to being in front of the camera, and who will want to create, whether it be a dancer in the middle of the desert with garment flowing, or this or this or that, or if it's a model like trying to convey some kind of emotion. I study a lot of movement on what I am trying to imagine because for me, it's funny because I'm like, I don't look like a little petite model, but when I'm with my guests and we're in the studio or wherever, I'm like, now give me something like that, and just kind of lose yourself. And it's just so funny because we're trying to convey and capture emotion. So what I tell them is like, okay, we get together and we have project meetings. I'm like, okay, so this is what I have in mind. Tell me more a little bit about you. And how it first started was we would talk about where they are emotionally, like where they are in their time in their life. Some of my beginning, oh my gosh, that next collection was the Vividly Connected collection. And that came about because I just started shooting friends who I would have deep talks with. Because in the salon, man, you hear it all.
right,
You're behind the chair and people are opening up their world to you as I do them. And it's not so much an exchange of service, but it's an exchange of energy and a safe space where you guys can actually become connected at a deeper level than maybe some spouses or maybe even some family members. But you get so connected. And so I've had people just pour things out on me. And I was like, if you're open to it, can we try to convey some of that and see if we can tap into that? Like, where does it take you? So I would let them kind of just guide me, and they would just kind of go where physically they go emotionally to express what they're doing or what they're feeling, and then I'll just try to tell a story or convey that with light. So it's really like a collaboration. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's another one too. That's it's just really evolved into connecting with people, and from that creative, I'm sorry, the Vividly Connected collection, there's some deep stories, man, that I've connected with people where there was one gal who just lost her husband, really good friend of mine. She comes in. And I didn't even have a studio at the time. We're just doing it in my apartment. She comes in, I let her know, like, look, like, just create and see what we can capture. And we created an image for her, and she just started crying, and she felt, dude,
Oh,
you have
wow.
no idea, like, how this helps me. And so, in another way, like, in other words, you're giving people the opportunity to see themselves in a different light. Because when you're looking in the mirror regularly, like, you see what you see, you feel what you feel. But when you see yourself through a different perspective, being lit up with energy and light and all this and that, dude, it kind of helps propel you out of maybe a funk that you're in, or give you
Absolutely.
clarity you're feeling internally. Or just know that, hey, look, like, all I need is a little bit more light. Like, it's all going to be okay. It's all
Right.
going to be all light. So yeah, so when it comes to helping people pose or whatnot, I sit down with them and I talk with them about, like, look, the only thing that's going to touch you is making sure they're comfortable and safe. Letting them know, like, we're going to be in the dark, but the only thing that's going to be touching you is my fiber optic brushes or any kind of light tool that I'm using. That
Right.
way, there's comfortability and making sure that their comfort and their safety is the first and foremost, like, what's at the forefront. And then that way, once all that's taken care of, it gives us the opportunity to just create and just lose ourselves in self discovery, or just like the creative what ifs. You had showed a couple of the fiery pieces with my love Christina. She's an amazing, yes, amazing human. So I'm at the gallery. I'll tell you a little bit of a backstory on this one. She comes in. She's like, "Whoa, what am I looking at?" And it's just energy radiating off of the walls of the gallery. And I'm like, "Hi, welcome to my creative playground. This is, light painting, where I get to chase my imagination and all these different things." And she was like, "Well, tell me more." So I gave her the rundown. She wanted to have a session, so we connected throughout that week. And the following week, she came in, and her idea was to create this um, rising of a phoenix. And for me, it was like, we didn't have a goal except to see what we can create together. And when
Right.
we were done, we actually did about 27 shots that tell a story of the adversity emotionally that one goes through the rising of a phoenix. And so she has a crazy backstory that we're actually working on a documentary right now. Um, Christina is an advocacy for, she does a lot of advocacy work for veterans. She's a veteran herself, has been through horrific scenarios that will come to light with the documentary. But we're showcasing that, and we're letting her know, or helping her share her story with others, to let them know, like, look, no matter what you've been through, you can rise above. And so it's like, you're not even creating anymore. Now you're storytelling.
Right.
And of course you're
Absolutely.
creating within that, but you're storytelling, and you're reaching people who may feel like they're not seen, or
Right.
dealing with something we know nothing about. And oh my gosh, man, it's insane.
That's
It's really
great, man. And what a beautiful opportunity to be able to be in a position to have people open up in front of you that you necessarily may know nothing about, but to have
yes.
those conversations and to intertwine that within your creativity is beautiful, man.
Yeah. And so, like, some of the people that would come in, um, they would see some of the things that I was working on with her collection, and some of them would just start tearing up and breaking down. So we'd have hug sessions,
Right?
and we
Yeah.
started talking about all these things, man. And it's just beautiful, though, bro. Like what and how this can bridge that gap in human connection.
Hey, I thought of something. So every time I see this image, every single time, and it never fails, the very first thing that pops in my head is the Doors. Like it
Oh
just
my gosh, I
this
see it now. I can't
reminds
explain
me
it.
like
Yes, yeah.
every time, man. And it's the
And
very first thing I
Jason,
think of.
that's kind of what we did. We did kind of break on through.
Right. Yeah, 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 right. Hey, you know what? Speaking of that, I mean, that goes right into the next question. So, music seems to be a huge part of your work. Can you share that relationship? Because, for me personally, music is a huge inspiration for a lot of the creative things that I do. So I'm interested to, now I'm not like, I can't play a guitar, things like that, but the fact that you just take it a next step, man, and create these just masterful pieces, man.
So
Tell us
yeah,
about that
so
relationship.
absolutely, man. So okay, music growing up, my family we always had music playing super loud. I'm come from a family of six siblings all together. And every morning as we're getting ready for school, my mom would have music blaring as she's cooking everybody breakfast. So we grew up with a lot of doo-wop and
All
old
right.
school nostalgia like music, right? But then also like Spanish music. And I don't even speak Spanish, bro, but I would groove and it would take me somewhere. And I'm just like, man, all right, like we didn't get taught Spanish growing up, but we had that ambiance.
Right.
And I just felt like music has always taken me somewhere, and I love how like everything that I've ever done like in life, there's always been music involved, music around, and I've always felt like with a single note of a song, it can take you back to a memory, it can take you back to something, it can take you back to a scent, a smell, a person, a relationship, and there's memories, man, that don't die through music, or like if you have a loved one that's passed, you're thinking about them, things are kind of heavy, and all of a sudden this song comes on that reminds you of them. And I feel like it's them channeling, like, dude, look, I'm all right. And I feel like there's that music that really, I don't know, man, once again, it's connection and creativity as well. So with music, the first thing I wanted to do was that red guitar behind you, like the black guitar in this picture that's showing,
Right.
black guitar with the red flames. Yep, that one there. That was my very first piece, man, that I shot as far as a musical instrument. And I just, like you, I don't play guitar, but ever since light painting, I own like seven now. So instead of learning the guitar, I mean, I could probably should have one day, but I'll just light paint the heck out of it, man, because it's just so much fun. But
Right.
I guess, oh, this guy. So there's like this big holiday event here in Vegas called Enchant, and the first year that it came, I was a vendor there with my artwork and stuff, and so I met this gentleman from Seattle, and he had bought a condo out here in Vegas, so he came down and was like, dude, how do I create something like this for my condo space? And so we linked up. We had a session at the gallery, and then ended up creating this piece for him, which he blew up to like 30 by 45 for his condo space, and so on Chromolux, and so I was all stoked to see that. But dude, it's just you're radiating energy and you're connecting music with people with emotion, and it is just awesome, man. And I love it. So music, it speaks volumes through who I am as an individual. I Everybody always asks like, what do you like? And I always tell them, man, I listen to everything from A to Z, from
Right.
ABBA to ZZ Top, and everything in between, man. And there's nothing I won't listen to, and I think everything will just, if you allow something to take you somewhere, it's pretty fascinating what you'll discover. Just being open to
Absolutely.
it, going with it, going with the flow.
So these next images that I'm going to share,
Okay.
yeah, I want to talk about this, man, because this when I first seen you do this, I was like, man, this is so cool. I would love to try it. And the neat thing is how well it works with the fiber optics. And what I'm talking about is, oh,
Oh,
had that one there, but it's this next one right here, man. This the body paint.
oh, yes. Okay, okay, okay. So
So it works so well with the fiber. Can you tell
yeah,
us a little bit the process there of using
yeah.
body paint and with light painting?
Okay, so this was my first time exploring body paint. And the thing is like, okay, I met this couple, they came to the gallery and they were like, dude, what about a maternity shoot? I'm like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Let's do it. And so this was my very first time shooting a couple. And so once again, this was about a minute, 9 minute exposure. And so from there, I thought, okay, you start thinking, how are you going to make this happen without them moving?
Right.
Right. And so I thought, okay, let me figure this out. So find a position that they can hold and press against one another, be comfortable, and try to keep a statuesque pose as much as possible. Now, I wanted it to look real dreamy. She gave me the color scheme that she loved. And I thought, okay, cool. But then I thought, okay, so I don't want to spend too much time on their body parts. Let me just kind of focus on where I would put energy radiating from. But then what can I use to fill in gaps? So that way, if I'm missing something, I'm like, oh, but more light would have been cool there. So then I thought, okay, why don't I do this? Why don't I use glow in the dark body paint? And this turned into a whole new experience, Jason. Check this out. So I go, hey, okay, you guys. So I have this idea. I want you guys to come in, and this is the like. I want you guys to have this experience of embracing what you're doing with the life that you're bringing into this world. So come on in. I'm going to leave the room, and I want you guys to paint each other with body paint. And so they got to, he painted her, she painted him, and they just had a moment. And they let me know. They knocked on the door, opened the door, let me know that they were ready to go. And I could just hear them laughing though, bro, and being silly and giddy. So it
Yeah,
was like,
super
yeah,
cool.
being a part. It's taking this experience of light painting and amplifying it to a point where it's inclusive. It's not
Right.
me. It's not a me thing, dude. It's a we thing, And even if they didn't body paint each other, it's still a we thing because I cannot create this piece without them holding a statuesque pose, And so holding them painting themselves, it was just awesome. And so what I did to have that react, I used a blue and a purple gel over a speed light, and I put the mag modifier over that, and I just had that kind of like in front of them, but kind of high, so that way it shot down. But I didn't want it to like blow out anything around them, so I just used the fiber optic brushes, the purple and the blue around them, and the magenta around them. But then also I used speed lights on the floor, right? And so here I want to break down this whole shot if I can.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, man. So what I did was the first thing I did was I grabbed my black fiber optic, and I had a little bit of a warm color over it, so that way it can come out a little bit warmer on their body tone. And so the first thing I did was I started with his neck, and then I went from his neck, and I turned off I covered it, had my back to it, so I don't have it drag across his shirt, and then I hit his arms, connecting to her arm, came back, and I wanted to just tap her stomach where the baby was. So that way, as I'm tapping on it, just letting the camera absorb it. So I'm not moving it around too much. I'm just holding the fiber optics against her body stationary, and then moving it here, moving it there, but keeping it in relatively that same area. Then going up her arm, and I missed a little bit in that bicep area, but I'm okay with it because I knew that the body paint was going to help me out. So then I went to her like clavicle area and worked on that. And then from there, I went behind in the backdrop, and I have pieces of black tape on like behind their hair, their head, and their shoulders. So I know I can't go behind that because if I do, I may get like a double layer,
Right.
right? So if I can just stay around there, I know my guidelines of where I'm going to paint in the colors or paint in the box, if you will. But I'm just kind of going at it. But this time I'm going against the backdrop, not towards the camera. So I'm going against the backdrop, and it's a seamless paper that's a black seamless paper that's hanging down. So it sounds like I'm like moving the paper back and forth blah, 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 in the dark, and it just what is he doing back there? So
Right.
I'm mixing up the colors, right? And then I'm like, okay, hold it, and I have my remote, my remote trigger, so I can pop my flash when I need to. But I have three flashes on the floor pointing up. And what I do is I lay on the floor and I'm spraying aerosol fog behind them. So I'm actually behind them on the floor, spraying up. So you can see that mistiness,
Right.
right? So when I pop my flash, the three flashes on the floor pointing up are triggering, and so are the blue light to activate the light, the body paint that's on them. So does that make sense? So like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
having that go off, and then they're in slave mode. The flashes on the bottom, so that's gonna give you that little hint of color on her cheek, um, and you can see like behind his neck as well. And so it pretty much helps cover my gaps. So I'm trying to figure out a way how to like cover my gaps and without having to go in because I don't want to learn Photoshop, man.
Right.
I like what I do is I go into Lightroom, I crank up my clarity, make sure my cropping's set. I'm good.
Right.
I'm good,
Yeah.
man. I want to keep it minimalized, and so it's when I saw this though, it's funny, dude. We get so giddy and we start jumping around like kids. Like, oh my god, you guys know the feeling.
Oh
You know
yeah.
the feeling. Like you want to start doing like cartwheels everywhere. And that's why like my emojis are always all cartwheels because it's just full of excitement, dude.
Well, it's beautiful, man. And like I said, when I look at these and I see, I've got to try this, man. I've got to get some paint. Just it works so well with the fiber. I
Thank,
love the way it blends together and just it's beautiful. Absolutely
thank you.
beautiful, man.
Thank you so much, man. It's just fun. And like I said, if you have an idea, just chase that imagination, you
Right?
guys. Chase it, man. Yeah. Yeah.
That right there. This one is super
So
cool too.
yeah, so this was cool too because I this was the first time that I actually really tried the technique.
Right?
This is my friend Marissa, who had lost her husband, and we create, and we she's such an amazing muse, and she's like, if you ever need me, believe me, I want to feed off your energy, I want to create with you. I'm like, cool, I have this idea, I want to put body paint on you if that's okay. And I didn't know how I want to do it, but I just know I don't want to get into like a touchy feely type thing. So
Right?
what I did in this case, I put it on a toothbrush and I just started flickering the body paint on her from a distance with the toothbrush. So it just kind of splattered all over her. But it's cool because you don't have like, of course, there could be ways that you can make it intentional, but then at the same time, with this technique, it's just kind of like randomly falling wherever it goes.
Right?
And so the purple streaks was the plexiglass, the unicorn, and all I did was kind of hold it at an angle and just kind of do like I don't know, like how do I even describe that? Like just like I don't know, like I feel like I'm in an orchestra and I'm kind of just
Right?
going with yeah. I don't know, man. It's just you're just you're just trying to create what you imagine um in this sense of like I don't know, man, trying to imagine how it would look in the dark.
Right?
My friend Jerry, she's so fun. So this one took a lot, you guys, and this is holy smokes, man. Same concept, lighting her up. This is with no flash, and so lighting her up, her body first. So my technique is I take my black fiber optic brush, which is my favorite brush, by the way, and I tap her body with different colors, and then I pull away to light up her face a little bit and the flower, and then from there I go behind her and I my flashlight I can go to half power, and so with half power I tuck back half of my fiber optics and hide them in my palm of my hand, so I'm using less like fiber optics, and then in that point I just turn that on at half power and I go around parts of their body to outline them to help separate them, right? So believe me, it takes a lot of tries though because she came to the gallery like maybe 10 times and we finally got two shots that we were able to be like, yes, there's no movement. The light tells the story, and then it's just me spazzing out behind her with full power mode with my flashlight and half power mode. And that's how you get the different textures of light with the white, I'm sorry, with the black fiber optic brush.
It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, and it's just having fun with the tools that you're playing with. So there's so many different ways that you can use each tool, as I'm sure you do.
Absolutely.
There's no one size fits all. Just create, lose yourself, chase it, and
Yeah,
you can.
holding those the portrait, the fibers, and just like pulling away and letting that light illuminate. I mean, it makes a great just portrait light in a sense of just illuminating that light, and you have so
Yeah,
much control with the shadows and it's just great, man.
yeah, dude, it's
Hey,
it's so much fun.
I can't sit here with you and not talk about the next image that I'm going to pull up. Okay.
Okay,
And I have to say, and I wrote down, I said, this is easily one of my personal top favorite light paintings ever. The next image that I'm gonna show.
let's see it. Let's see it.
So
I'm
I,
excited.
I think this next image is super iconic. Like if somebody said, if you were to like look up light painting, I in my mind this would be an image that would pop up. And
Awesome.
I just think it's super iconic and just like I said, there's no way I couldn't have talked with you about it. But this right here, this has got to be one of the
Oh
most
my gosh, bro.
my favorite personal light paintings that I've ever seen. And it's just, there's just something about this image, man, that's just super captivating. The story and just knowing you and hearing you talk and hearing how expressive you are and the connections that you have, I understand now more why this image makes sense as why it's so captivating to me in a sense, because I it's so relatable hearing you talk about light painting and just the stories that you're talking about. But yeah, tell us a little bit about this right here, man.
I can't, bro. I got to tell you a lot of it. I can't tell you. I got to tell you. So this image, man, this is my buddy Jeff. And this is when I first started light painting, man. This was like my seventh um, person that I shot. No, I'm sorry, my sixth. My sixth person that I shot, but it's the seventh piece of the collection, Vividly Connected.
All right.
And so we knew that we wanted to shoot him. I go to his home. This was done in his living room. We put up some black curtains in his living room, blacked out the lights and everything, and we put on we put on Dark Side of the Moon, and we were listening to this, and I got there, and he had all these props in his living room, and as you know, as a creative, like okay, light painting, I liked it when I first started. I wanted to try to stick to one thing and do it over and over and over because it's kind of like a creative insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over again, but you're getting different results because no two light paintings will ever be the same. They'll never be the same. And so he had all these props out. I'm like, okay, this is a lot. So I kind of internally, I was kind of like, okay, what am I going to do here? But then I said, you know what, dude, Jeff, tell me, bro, what's meaningful to you? He picked out that hat. He picked out the guitar, and he goes, well, these, I'm going to take it back, Ruben. This is where back in the day when I was in rehab, I found myself with this hat and this guitar sitting in this pondering pose, thinking, how am I going to break away from these chains that are binding me? And
Wow.
I'm like, put everything away, bro. Put everything away. And I kind of did the whole like, rah, where you move everything off the table, like mentally, anyways. I didn't do that physically, but that would have been funny.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, dude, no, this is it. So we had that pose, and I was like, okay, tell me about that. He was like, yeah, no, man. Um, he went away for a few months. Uh, he was living a rascally life, to say that lightly, and it was going to lead to death sooner than later. And to know the person he is today, I'm proud of him. I'm so proud of him, man. And so I get emotional about this stuff because
Right.
that really resonates and hits home with me. And so he was like, yeah, dude, I would find myself sitting in this position, pondering life. Not only how did I get here, but how am I going to get out of here? How am I going to make the people who love me, who are pulling for me, proud? And I go, show me where you were. So he sits in this pose, and I'm like, that's it. We got to stick with this. No lie, you guys, this was the 10th try. And we spent 2 hours together. The 10th try, it was a 7-minute exposure. And I RGB flashlight, fiber optic brush, the black one. I went at it and I just changed up my colors all on the guitar first, went across the neck, turned off my light, went behind him, half power with the white, half amount of fiber optics. And I'm behind him going around the guitar, going around him, going around his hat a little bit. And then I turned off the light, went to the headstock and made it look like that energy was glowing, turned that off, and then I didn't want to overdo it. I wanted him to be predominantly, but in a world of light, if that makes any sense. And so I went full power with my red, just kind of went at it and lost myself with movement. Then went behind him to hide so I could turn off my light or change my light. Went to blue and green at half power and just kind of like just went at it. And when we were done, we were like, holy smokes. And we started crying. We started crying. And so his mom, oh my gosh, you guys, I printed this on aluminum for them. This has been like one of my top um, desired pieces, for the lack of a better term. I don't know. But a lot of people really connect to it, dig it. I don't get the opportunity to tell the story too much because I know it's not always um, needed. You know,
Right.
it's special for us, but at the same time, you can see the connection between him, his guitar, and just that pondering artist, if you will. And so it's just awesome, man. But when I gave a print to his mom, and his mom started crying, and she goes, you don't know what you put me through, but I'm so grateful for where you are, and I'm gonna hold this dear to me. And I'm just like, this is what it's about. Holy smokes, man! You're telling stories.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
you're allowing people to once again see themselves in a different light, and there's power in that, you guys. There's so
Oh,
much power.
absolutely. And that's
Um,
that's one of the things that I love about this image. It is a powerful one. Like, and it's not only telling his story. There's a lot of different stories there. There's something so extremely relatable about this image.
yeah,
And I'm telling you, this is an awesome, awesome image. Like, it's
and
really,
it's
really
funny.
good,
I don't
man.
know if you have access to it. Like I know you pulled up some images. So we did one more shot after this, and it was a celebration shot. Because remember, he had all these props, and during the time, him and his son were cruising around town, being silly with these ridiculously huge dog heads and panda heads. So he puts on this panda head, holds the same pose, and we do another one, and we created sad panda.
I
And
love it.
once
I
again,
love it.
no two light paintings will ever be the same, but so many kids connect and relate to sad panda.
Right?
It's the best thing ever, man. It is the best thing, but yeah, just a lot of fun.
That's great, man. Hey, you know what? I've got to ask this. So, where does your inspiration come from for what you create? What is it? What is it that drives you creatively?
Life,
Awesome.
life's experiences, where I am emotionally, who I connect with, challenges that we face in this human experience, that can sting up here sometimes. But at the same time, yeah, life is probably the biggest um, inspiration that I pull from, family, friends, loved ones, love itself, um, all of it, bro. I'm just life's experiences, man, a human connection. But yeah, once again, just chasing the imagination and seeing what you can pull. I feel that because you're creating, everybody has their creator and their who they go to for that refuge. But I find that when I'm chasing my imagination, I'm creating. I feel most connected to my creator because I'm doing exactly what was done with me to be created. And I just feel like I feel so connected to every life experience that I've ever encountered, and even those that I'm not even familiar yet or that I have yet to experience. I feel like I'm
Yeah,
I'm one with the universe and I'm one with it all. So it just
that's
gets me closer
awesome,
to
man.
God.
It's so relatable to hear you say that because it's being someone that just feels everything around you, just everything. It's hard to explain that to people that don't feel, the things around them. So
Yes,
to hear,
like the
it's
way.
so
Okay,
relatable what you're talking about, man.
so for example, I noticed like you're always coming across hearts,
Right.
dude. That's happening for a reason, brother. You know what I mean?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because you radiate love, man,
That's right,
and
man.
and you're looking for love. Like not looking for like, hey, love, where are you? You're surrounded by it, but you exude love.
Right.
And I feel like when you're present to all these things that not only make you up, but that you are, you'll find it more, man. It's laws of attraction, you know.
Absolutely,
So,
man.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Ruben, man, dude, this has been a pleasure, man. Seriously, this great conversation. I'm so glad you're here. Um, you know, let's ask one more question, and before we end it. But what's the best advice you could give to someone that's just starting out in light painting, or is there anything that you would like to tell to the community? What would that be?
Lose yourself in the dark and light up your imagination and just play with it. There's going to be moments and times where you're unsure of what you created. Don't do that to yourself. Just keep going, keep
Awesome.
going. For me, like don't settle. And I'm not saying like I don't know. For me, when I dive into ideas, there's times where I've actually come close to what I'm thinking, but I don't want to be like, yeah, that'll do. Nah, man, if I can get close to it, why can't I exceed that? You know what I mean? So just keep
Absolutely.
going and push the envelope, but enjoy what you're doing for the sake of discovery and let yourself be mind blown by what you can create by shooting blind in the dark. It's freaking awesome.
I love it. I love it.
It's flipping awesome, man. I love it. And not only that, but it's one of those things where just continue to lose yourself and continue to chase your imagination. But yeah, just have fun. More importantly, like just um, embrace like all there is to discover. Yeah.
That's great,
And
man.
get all the light painting brushes that you could possibly get. They helped and changed my life like completely, man.
Right? Hey, Ruben, what's the best way to follow along with you? Just through Instagram, Facebook, you got a website.
So okay, there's a few ways,
And you
and
can put that down in the chat too. We can, yeah,
I'm working on a few things right now, you guys. On Instagram, you can follow my photography journey, which is Vegas Photo Experience. And so I'm all over the place with that as far as like wedding photography, light painting, portraits, all this stuff. I'm working on something really big though, you guys, and I'm really stoked. I had a couple galleries here in town, closed them down because I was going through some personal things, and now that I'm restarting, like I used to say, life from scratch in an amazing way, I'm gonna be working on opening this studio and safe space to where I can just do everything that I love to do in one space: hair, photography, light painting, and art, and all of it. So it's gonna take some time, but I just if you guys are ever in Vegas, dude, we'll have to connect. We'll have to
absolutely.
our hearts out, whether it be out in the landscape of the desert or whether it be in a studio or wherever. You can follow along on Facebook. It's Ruben Martinez. Um, yeah. And if you need a haircut while you're in town, come see me. I'll take care of it.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, man, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much again. Just want to, just keep doing what you're doing and just keep being you. You,
Thank you, brother. Thank
yeah,
you.
you
And I
you
thank
are
you guys for
you're
being
awesome, man.
same to you. You, Jason, you guys, the whole community. Thank you for what you guys do for us, man. It's like it's beautiful to be a part of something, whether I'm able to get engaged all the time or not. I know I have a home with you guys,
Right,
and I think every light painter understands that. In our community, there is no, I don't know. I've never felt a sense of like competition because it's all everybody excited about what can you explore and create together, and I love that. So thank you guys for creating this space for all of us who just love to chase the imagination and get inspiration from what you guys do, chasing yours. But yeah, keep doing what you guys are doing too, because it's so important, man. It's so
awesome,
important.
man. Thank you.
No,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Yep. So okay, so I don't know much about this. Now what do I do?
You just sit back. We got it from here.
All right, man. Thank you guys.
Thank you, man.